So now for this video, because we have now put our files in third normal form, we can now create our relational database. So in other words, we're going to import those files into Access. So when you open up Access, you'll see there's an option to create a blank database. So you can click on that option. Now we can rename this database with a name that is given on our exam paper. They say we've got to save the database with the file name cars underscore followed by your center number and underscore candidate number. So it's going to be cars underscore the center number, which we're just going to make up for now, and the candidate number. And then you click on create. You just make sure that database has been created in the folder that you're going to be saving all your work in, which will be submitted to Cambridge. So now to import those files into Access, we go to external data at the top, new data source, from file, and CSV files are text files. So click on text file. There we go, browse. Then you go to the location where all your files are saved that you want to import into Access, and you've got to import them individually. So from the previous video, we had 5 files that we normalized to third normal form. So let's start with the cars file. So just be aware, you're not going to import your original files, but the files that we manipulated to be in 3NF form. So we're going to click on open. So okay. We always make sure it's delimited. We go next. Tick first row contains field names. So you'll see the first row will become shaded in the background with a gray color. And then what we have to do is click on advanced. And now we have to make sure that the data types that we see over here make sense with the information in the columns. So registration number is a mixture of numbers and letters. That is short text in Access. So remember, text can be anything, numbers, letters, symbols, so that's fine. Model name is text. Paint code, you can see these values over here are integer values, so long integer is fine. Drive type code, those are letters, so short text is fine there. Extras, those are letters, so that's also fine. And then the year is in the form of integers. So it's not in the usual format like day / month / year. Here it's just an integer for each of those values. So long integer is fine. If it was in the day / month / year format, then you could choose date with time, but integer is fine for now. We say OK. And then we keep hitting next until we get to the primary key option. So here we choose my own primary key. And in the previous video, we said that this registration number was going to be the primary key. So we go next and finish. Then we click close. Don't worry about saving import steps. And if you double click on the table on the left-hand side, it should open up without any errors. Then you know more or less that it's okay. And if you notice there's table 1 in the database, you can actually delete table 1. You don't have to stress about that. And now we do the same for the other 4 tables. So new data source, from file, text file. So along the way, there might be some things that might be different. So we'll see as we import what happens. So browse, drive type can be next, open, OK, delimited, first row contains field names, advanced. Make sure the data types make sense. For drive type code, these are letters. Drive cost, you can see this is an integer, but we can actually go further. If anything has to do with price, we can make it currency. And then drive type is text. So we can say OK. Then we keep going next until the primary key. Choose my own primary key. It's drive type code. That's what we decided from the previous video. Then next and finish. Close. And then we do the next one. New data source, from file, text file. Browse. Extras can be next. So open, OK. Delimited. First row contains field names. And you can see there's some error coming up here. And you'll see some of the information in the columns doesn't look right. So for extras, if we open up the extras file, you'll see that there should actually be 3 columns, but in Access there are multiple columns, not just 3. And what it's doing is it's using the commas in column B to create more columns in Access. So you can see it's cruise control, and then in the next column, LED lighting. So you can see that this comma is what is making that extra column. So we'll fix that now in Access once we finish importing it. So go next, choose my primary key. It's going to be extras code. So we're leaving the advanced option for now because these columns aren't properly set yet. So we're going to go next and finish, close. And now we're just going to make it look like how it should look. So extending these columns. So according to the Excel file, so everything to do with extras has to be in the extras column. So we have to move LED lighting, for example, into the extras column. What we're going to do here is just copy this, and this record over here for extras, it should be cruise control and LED lighting. So I've pasted that there now. Now I can delete the LED lighting, which is in the incorrect column, and I'm going to move up the 850 to where it should be. And then the next one is CLS. So CLS should be cruise control, LED lighting, and satellite navigation. I'm going to copy that and paste it under extras, and then delete these, which are in the wrong columns. And then the 1270 should be in this column. CS is cruise control and satellite navigation. Paste that there. Delete this part. And then L is LED lighting, so it's fine. LS. So I'm going to copy and paste. Then delete this part. And then the 620 should be in this column. And then field 4 we don't need. We can delete this. It's blank. So delete field. Same for field 5. And now I'm just going to right click and hit save. So now this is as it should be. And then just under home, view, design view, everything's short text. And if you look at the datasheet view, the first column is text, second column is text, but extra cost, those are numbers. So I'm going to change the extra cost data type to be a little bit further than just a number. You could say long integer, but because it's got to do with cost, we're going to choose currency. And then view, you can just save it anything it comes up with. And now our extra cost is in currency. So that takes care of the extras table. And then we do the next table, so external data, new data source file, from file, text file, browse. Now we're going to do model. So it's delimited. Next, first row contains field names, advanced. So this is text. Model cost we can make currency. Body style is text, so that's all good. Then we keep going to the primary key, and we decided model name is the primary key from the previous video, and then finish. And then we have one more file to import. So it's paint. So next, first row, advanced. So paint code is long integer. Color is short text. And color factor, if it's got decimals, we can leave that as double. That is a decimal value. So we can say OK. We go next, next. Choose my primary key. We decided it was paint code from the previous video. And then next and finish. So now we've imported all of the files that are making up our relational database. And what we need to do now is form the relationships between these tables. Then we'll have our relational database, or the basic version of it so far, created. And that is just going to exclude the field links and validation routines, which will basically come from the previous page. But going back to Access and now to form the relationships between these 5 tables. So we need to link them together to make it a relational database. So we're going to go to Database Tools, Relationships. You would double click on all of the tables you've imported and then extend them if need be. And how this works is now we need to link a primary key field to a field in another table. So we just have to somehow get all 5 of these tables linked together, and then we'll have our relational database. So for example, model name, which is the primary key in the model table, that can be linked to model name in the cars table. They're exactly the same field. So we're going to drag model name to model name. And we're going to enforce referential integrity. So you'll see in the question, they say set referential integrity where appropriate. So we're going to do so. So we're going to click create. And if it comes up with a message that the table is in use, you're just going to say OK and cancel. And we just close any table that is currently open. And now we'll try again. Model name to model name. Enforce referential integrity. Create. So there's the first link. Then drive type code can go to drive type code. Enforce referential integrity. Create. The extras code can be linked to extras. We saw in the previous video that those 2 columns had exactly the same data. So those 2 can be linked. So extras code to extra. Enforce referential integrity. Create. So we have 4 tables linked together already. And you can rearrange this if you want to make it look a little bit better. So the last thing we need to link now is this paint code, and that can go to paint code. Enforce referential integrity, and create. And now that we have all 5 tables linked together, our database is now a relational database. So you can right click on this tab and click save just to make sure it saves. And then we would then go on to set field links for our fields, validation rules where appropriate. But up until this point, we have a third normal form relational database.